Good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening. Welcome to the Pivotal Podspective, our wonderful show where we are chatting to guest extraordinaires from all over the globe, aren't we, Adrian?
Exactly, yeah. And tonight we have someone very extraordinaire.
We do have an extremely extraordinarily guest, and we've had some extraordinaire technical issues as well beforehand, which we've just managed to sort out at the last minute. But you know what? I keep saying it. We're a renegade and we just crack on. We just get on with the show.
Yeah, fuck the norm, like Lewis was saying. So
Definitely. Well, listen, we have Naomi Mamiye coming on the show as our guest extraordinaire this evening, who is a top US healthcare designer. She started a business with a lot of stress around her, a lot of negativity, and not a dollar to her name as well. And in the healthcare sector now, there isn't another designer with as many accomplishments as her. She mentors beginner designers as she's seen as a leader in her field. Not only is she an entrepreneur, of course, she actively helps and coaches other people to start businesses of their own. I think she's a very interesting guest we've got coming on this evening, haven't we? Unfortunately, we didn't have the backdrop that I would have liked, which was showing her designer flair. But we'll have a little chat about that in a second.
she still has a nice background now as well. She can tell us about that.
Yeah, that'd be rude for me to say.
But we're still gonna ask what was with the previous background, so don't worry.
Yeah, definitely. Well, listen, without further ado, let's bring on Naomi Mamiye.
Hi. Hello, Naomi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Okay. All right.
Are you calm?
Yes, we're good now. Yeah.
Cool. Is that one of those grins that you can put on to completely hide the stuff we've gone through in the last few minutes?
It's okay. Everything's meant to be. You get this background instead of my other room that had the echo. My original spot had a bad echo, which was a wall full of license plates that I collected from all my travels and all my projects. Absolutely. So every time I went to look at a hospital or a rehab center, I was always looking for an antique shop, and I would come home with used license plates from my guest room, and I filled up an entire wall with license plates from across the United States. So my guests have this funky, cool vibe to hang out in.
So you haven't collected them from people's trucks?
No. It took me a long time to fill up that usual, and sometimes I go out of my way to drive to some antique shop in the middle of nowhere that someone would direct me to, and they have no license plates for me, so I got let down many times. So it was hard work with the whole collection.
It's hard work being a designer, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. Everybody wants their place done yesterday, and I actually spend endless hours. I work from early morning till late at night. I believe in hard work, and that's where I got to where I am today, putting in endless hours, pushing myself as tired as I get sometimes. I just keep pushing myself to finish projects, and it's late. I just keep going, and I try not to let anyone down. If I say I'm going to get a project done by a certain time, it is done.
Good. I like that. That's the only way to be, though. To be honest, isn't it? You know. So listen, how long have you been a healthcare designer? I mean, how long has this been going on now?
Okay, so I started 15 years ago when I was at rock bottom, divorced with 4 little kids. I had no family to lean on or help me out at all, monetarily, emotionally. So I had to make some kind of decision of what to do with my life and how to support my family. So I was always complimented on my creativity. And I decided that I'm going to monetize on it, and I am going to open up a design firm. So this is 15 years ago, and I slowly, out of word of mouth, got one job to the next, and it's all referrals. I never once advertised all this time.
Wow. Okay. But why? But how did you start off with the intent on going down the healthcare sort of route?
Yeah. Basically, why healthcare design? Because
Right.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone doing that. I'm not sure about you, Elliot.
No.
Right.
It's unique as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Yeah. It sort of became my specialty, not just, I don't know, for things just went that direction, and I just went with the flow. I started out doing my first couple of jobs to get out my name in the field. I did my first projects for free of charge. So I had a restaurant, I had homes, I had anywhere that I could just put my name onto something. And I felt like because of my work ethic and giving like 110% to each project, I just got referrals after referrals. Now, I sort of started to say no. I weeded out what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. My first residential projects, the women drove me absolutely crazy. So I said to myself, no, that's it. I can't do this. There's no end to the project because a lot of people get involved in homes. So I sort of like, crossed that out on my list. You got mother-in-laws giving their 2 cents. You got brother-in-laws, you got sister-in-laws, you got, oh my God, just when you think you're finished designing a room, you got somebody that puts in their, comments, and then the whole design shifts. So it was just like going in circles with no end. And I felt like when I do a healthcare project, it's just I can move from one to the next to the next. There's nobody arguing with me that they know better.
So it's commercial. Really, you just happen to have fit into that sector.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so when you're dealing with a remit of, or let's say, when somebody wants to do a particular job, they're not going to come in and start changing things halfway through. They've got that's the job price,
Right.
and you get to carry out what you expect to do, I suppose, as well.
Correct. There's a level of trust when I do a commercial project that, they see my work that I've done, my reputation, and there's just they know. When they're hiring me, I know what I'm doing. So they're not going to question me or make me change things 100 times. So for me, it's like I have peace of mind. I put so much into my projects, and then for someone to come and say like, no, well, my sister, my mother said I should try something else. And I could work, when I worked on a home, it would just go on for like 4 years time. So it's just there's no reason for that. I can design a whole home in a couple of days. So so this way I can accomplish a lot more this way. So by default,
I'm curious what type of design do you enjoy the most? Still the healthcare design, or just because you niched on that?
There's definitely a lot more creativity. Let's say when I'm doing a corporate office, I can do a lot of crazy, wild stuff. I have to tone it down a bit for the healthcare. So I get to give out more of my creativity in a restaurant or in an office, but I try my best. There's a cap to how wild I can go in a rehab center. I have to design according to the clientele. So tone it down a bit.
So what is it exactly that you do design-wise? Tell us exactly what it is. I mean, do you do? Is it interior design? Is that what you make money do? Give us a job. So somebody comes up to you and says, we've got rehab center, for example. What is it that you would go in and design?
Okay, so first I would check if the layout makes sense. A lot of times there's like no flow to the place. It was built in 1960, and they need to revamp the place. And a lot of places, a lot of offices, a lot of things are like out of place, and there's no common sense. So everybody just over the years stuck themselves in different offices, and many places don't have a flow. So first, I would just change the layout to make sure everything, just like when you do a walkthrough, it's just everything's in its right place. Then I would do everything from the flooring to the handrails to the patient room signage to the lighting to the lounges to the lobby to the nurses stations,
Right.
There's so many little details in healthcare. You sit in a doctor's office or in a waiting area in a medical center, and you usually don't think like how many details, like you're so busy with your forms filling out, you don't even realize how many details went into creating this space.
Yeah.
So
It's almost like you're playing Sims at a way higher level, I suppose. No, just personalizing things even more and just playing with people over there. I suppose if you create something that has a flow, you also should increase the productivity of that place, or at least the people that work in that place. That's right. Or what do you think about that?
yeah, so a lot of these places that I end up in, let's say in talking about psych wards or hospices, there's so much thought and so much details. People don't realize that you want colors that are calming, pleasing. You don't want to in the psych ward. You don't want to bring out that energy in the people.
No, you don't want something stimulating, do you?
Exactly. You do not want any extra stimulation to those people. You want them like as calm and serene as possible. So doing healthcare has actually taught me a lot of life lessons, because I see all these elderly people that are sick and miserable, like they're just not happy. So I made it like my business to tell everybody that I meet and that I see that are stuck in their like 9-to-5 jobs, and who have, let's say, dreams that are always scared to take that risk and do them. I was like, you don't want to end up like these people I keep seeing over and over. So like, let's say for example, like some old man would come over to me and be like, oh, you're with the construction crew. I always wanted to open up a construction company, but my wife, she didn't want that. People are scared to try something new. They like their steady paycheck. Or somebody would say to me, oh, I love your hair. I always wanted to open up a hair salon. And I'd be like, why? Like there's so many dreams that were never born. So many, so many fantastic ideas that people were scared to take that leap.
Yeah.
And so I try to encourage everyone I see, go for it.
Is that what sort of instigated you wanting to sort of mentor, let's say, startup designers and things, and give them some sort of vision and things like that, and actually sort of help to mentor rather than coaching? Mentoring is slightly different. I would definitely say that, but you're definitely known as to be a mentor to designers, right? To startups. And is that one of the things that instigated that, was sort of seeing people that have had dreams that just never realized them?
Exactly. So, so these young girls used to call me that, can they watch me work? They want to get into the field. They're a little shaky. So I just boost them up and help them start businesses of their own, set them up. Now, some other designers were like, what are you doing? You're just creating more competition for yourself. Are you out of your mind? What do you know?
They're afraid.
You're training people to compete against you. They're going to compete against you for the same projects. Why would you do something like that? So I said, a leader creates more leaders.
Yeah,
that's the truth. There's no such thing as competition. People think like there's only like a certain amount out there, and the world is like infinite. There's room for more. I met somebody like that wanted to become a jeweler, and he was like, nah. His parents told him there's enough jewelers on 47th Street in Manhattan. They don't need another one. He liked to tinker with things, and it's like you killed the guy's dream. So there's always room for more. There's somebody retires. Somebody changes, course. Somebody takes a break. There's infinite possibilities out there, and you shouldn't feel like any field is limited.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely commend you on doing that as well, because, and I, in the UK, there's a lot of people that don't necessarily want to impart information. And we've seen that over the last 8 months and doing different podcasts and talking to people and seeing how it's done. Interesting to say that, that you're like, you've seen that as well, with people going, well, why are you teaching these people? Why are you coaching or mentoring people? But I'm not being funny. If you do a really good job in helping somebody to, to give birth to a business where they never even maybe thought about starting something, by the sounds of it, and then there's collaboration opportunities in the future. They may open doors that you never would have opened. They may have a twist on a design project that actually marries really well with something that you do. I mean, that all you're doing is breeding, something that you can bring into the industry, which, let's face it, is an industry that is done in certain ways as well. And I think you maybe have a slightly different twist on that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what you touched on over there, people hoarding information. They're scared of helping anybody in the same field as themselves. They think it's going to hurt them if they help out somebody that's in the same field as them. And I find that the wheel of kindness just comes right back to you. What you put out, helping other people, one day will just return to you. And I actually have like a crazy life story in this topic. When I was 19, I got married for the wrong reasons, because I had no family and I just wanted a home of my own. My parents died of cancer. My grandparents died of cancer. So all 6 immediate family members, I went through like 6 different cancer patients. I had like a torturous teenage life. Yeah, it was really, really hard. So I just jumped into a marriage that wasn't for me, just to have some stability and have a home.
Yeah.
So back then, so I was 19, and penniless, some guy, a Mr. Bodner, called me up and said he heard about my situation and he owns a furniture company. He wants to give me my starter dinette set and bedroom set. And I was like, okay. I don't know who you are, but that's so nice of you. Okay, I'll take it. So here, 26 years later, I get a phone call from somebody in LA that she's going to be in town visiting family, and she wants to know if she could come by and watch me work. And I was like, yeah, sure, of course, just another one of these phone calls. You're welcome to come, sure. Yeah. So she was here, and I spent 3 days with her, and I gave her samples and all my contacts and the numbers of all my reps, and I just, whatever I can, put into her mind, whatever information, before she went back to LA. And I asked her before she left, I said, oh, by the way, who's your family that you're visiting here in New York for 3 days? She's like, oh, my parents, Bodner. Uh-huh. It was her father that gave me that furniture set 26 years ago.
Wow.
So here comes full circle in kindness. He did a kindness for me 26 years ago, and here I helped out his daughter 26 years later, and I had no idea there was any connection. When I helped her out, it was out of the goodness of my heart. I had no idea who she was. And that's how the world works. Like kindness, by helping other people, might return to you in a week, might return to you in years, but eventually it does come back, and people don't realize that. People always just karma comes back to you. No, goodness also comes back to you.
Well, great story. Did she know who you were?
No, she did not. I told her. I said, your father's Bodner from the furniture company, from Prince Seating. I have to say, I was like, yes, that's him. She had no. I was like, you don't know what your father did for me, And she was shocked, She knows her father's a good man, but she didn't know all these details. So it's a beautiful story, and it's a true story.
Wow, it's a lovely story, and that was in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, where I'm from. Yeah, in Brooklyn. Yeah,
I definitely pick up a little twang of Brooklyn, but you've moved out of Brooklyn now, right? You're a little bit out of New York now.
Yes, recently. Yeah, now you could find parking. Now have a koi pond in the backyard, a waterful koi pond. It's now serene, nice and serene. No cars honking and the blaring ambulances and fire trucks and all the noise and hustle and bustle of Brooklyn. It's a completely different life here, but I'm enjoying it. It's different, but also good.
So you have designed your new house or your thing you have over there?
I lucked out. I bought it from a couple where she was a florist. So she was so busy all the time with the ground. So I got a beautiful, I have beautiful landscaping. She put so much into it, and I just inherited it. Everybody comes here and thinks I did it, and I can't take credit for it. I didn't do any of this. It's all her. But in the actual house, because I see so many construction disasters, I moved into this house because there was so little to be done.
Yeah.
I said, oh my God, everything is fresh, everything is new, I'll take it, because I didn't want to go through that hellish process of construction. So that was one of the reasons why I picked this particular house, because it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I didn't have to do much except for my little finishing touches, which were, home goods, a couch, club chairs, dining chairs, little tiny things. So, but the basics, I can't take credit for. The bones of this house are not.
Okay.
Not yours, but you fill it with your designerness.
Exactly, my finishing touch.
Your finishing touch.
Elliot, sorry.
I've just got a quick comment here. My mum, as Henny Lee, has said, "Good evening." Thanks, Mum. It's good evening, obviously. Elliot, Adrian, and Naomi, nice to see you. Big love to you, Mum. Thanks very much for watching. If anybody else is watching
hello,
or lurking,
hello, we love you.
Yeah, we love you, of course, Mum. If anybody else is watching or lurking, then and you want to ask Naomi a question or us, of course, or there's anything you want to get asked, then please feel free, drop a comment in the comment box. I think you can give thumbs up in YouTube and give us some love hearts if you like what we're talking about, and let us know if you're watching live and where you're watching from as well. So let us know so we can give you a mention on the show.
So I love that your mother is always, encouraging. She's always there for you. It's so nice. It's wonderful. It's like the one thing I get jealous. Like I can look at beautiful houses and beautiful cars. I don't get jealous of that. But when I see somebody that has a good, caring mother, like, I missed out. I didn't have a mother since I'm 12. That's like one thing that I do still get jealous of when I see somebody that has that bond with their mother. It's like, oh, it hurts my heart. I wish I had it.
That's a difficult thing to go through. So you've been your own parent through the years. Then really, you really are a driving force for yourself. Who do you turn to then? Who have you turned to over the years? If you didn't have that sort of family clique, I mean, you lost a lot in the very early years. I'm not, don't want to ram that home, but that's a really difficult thing to push through. Who did you turn to? Where did you find solace? Where did you find some sort of direction?
So I still find I'm on my own. I'm remarried now, but I find that I was lacking that family unit. I was always, had to fight for myself and watch out for myself. And, when I was divorced, then even without a husband, without my immediate family and no husband, I had to make some concrete decisions. And I was so much living in the past. I said, I was like crying nonstop to Air Supply songs. I made a decision just to focus forward instead of backwards. I sort of like closed the door to my past, and I said, I'm going to stop wallowing in the past, and I'm going to focus ahead and focus on what I do have. I have 4 great children. I have a God-given talent that I'm able to use and make money on. And I think everybody's given talents from God that they could use to monetize on. They just don't even realize it. Yeah, so sure. I had to get rid of that negativity. Like I stopped thinking about how life is so unfair. I mean, I definitely had that free pass to say how life is not fair to me.
God, you had it all thrown at you, didn't it? I mean, if anybody had an excuse to buckle, you had it, to be fair.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that haven't even had anything like that still feel that their world is against them, which absolutely proves that you can overcome anything and push forward. And kudos to you for doing that. Just very, very quickly before you carry on, I don't want to sort of interrupt, but mum, obviously that touched my mum's heart. She says she appreciates the comment. Big love, mum. Big love. So you did, and you found you had those talents, and you sort of pushed forward, and you just used that as your driving force, right?
Right. So it took a lot of inner strength to just all of a sudden change my focus. I was like dredged in like sorrow, and I totally changed my mindset to positivity. And I read a lot. I listened to a lot of aspiring speeches online, and that sort of got me to look at things in a different direction. You speak about many times about gratitude. Now I find the same, like if you're ungrateful for the little that you do have, you're not going to get more. It's just like a parent, if my teenager is not grateful for everything that I'm doing for her, it doesn't make me want to do more for her. It's just the same thing, like I think like with God, if you say like Father in heaven, like it's my like a parent. If you're not grateful for all that he gives you, then why should he give you more? So I looked at things that way, like, wow, I do have a lot also to be thankful for. And with that mind switch, I just started seeing like good things come my way. It was like magic. And I used to think it was like a bunch of fluff when people say like, oh, path of positivity, nonsense. And I actually tried it and it worked. And I was like, whew, well, and now I use it all the time. Every time my mind goes like negative, I try to like, pull myself back onto the positive route. And it does so much.
Yeah. I mean, we were quite skeptical, and I have to be honest with you, less skeptical these days about the sort of positivity, motivation, and concentrating and gratitude, aren't we, Adrian? I mean, definitely, I've definitely softened to this all in the last, this year, for example. Before I was like, I don't need to believe anything; I believe in myself. And there's a certain point where believing in yourself isn't enough. You've got to have some way of soaking in, as you see, the gratitude and pausing and taking notice of what you're doing and feeling stuff. And even you, Adrian, I mean, you were a bit skeptical months ago. Because we probably heard the wrong things from the wrong people, which made us skeptics, I suppose. Would you agree with that, Adrian? Or?
Yeah, I think it's also because there was no consistency there, all right? It's just because, you do it and you expect for things to change in a day, in a week max, and you don't understand the fact that it takes a bit longer in order for things to change. And you need to have true gratitude. Sometimes it's very easy to lie ourselves, when we try to change things. But yeah, things have kind of changed now. You go to different phases in your life, but I think me and Elliot, both of us, we had, and we still have moments when we're very, very tough with ourselves, right? And just probably in our mind, because we want to do better, when we want to do things very, very good, we kind of beat ourselves down way too much when we shouldn't really do that, right? And we should appreciate sometimes for the good things that we have accomplished, even if they were small. And that's the answer to your question, Elliot.
Thanks very much. But who did you listen to, Naomi? You said you listened to people.
Who's your inspiration?
Yeah, who was your inspiration? Yeah.
So if you're I find like if you're searching for inspiration, there's so much out there. I would just turn on YouTube, and while I'm cooking dinner, I don't want to waste time on anything. I want to grow while I'm cooking, while I'm chopping dinner. I leave on any inspirational speakers. So actually, Steve Jobs recently when I was listening to his commencement address on from Cambridge. He said something that also, like, turned on a switch in my mind. He said, when he was fired from Apple, he could not see past it. He was so down. He was so shocked that he was fired from his baby, the company he gave birth to. And because he got fired from Apple, he went on to start Pixar, which is the greatest animation studio.
Yeah.
And then eventually he got rehired to, at Apple. But Pixar would never have been born if he didn't get fired from Apple. So we don't understand. He said you don't understand why certain things happen, but like years later you can like sort of connect the dots.
Yeah.
So he was devastated, and so much good came out from him being fired from Apple. So I started looking at my life the same thing. Like, I had to go through all these things to become, let's say, the strong character I am today. I had to go through so much hardship to get all that strength that I have today.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Go on, Adrian.
Yeah, I was thinking if you can move to the more like educational part as well, talk a bit about that, because I've never hired a designer before. I'm not sure if you ever hired a designer before, Elliot. So I want to ask Naomi then, what are the steps or what we should expect when we hire a designer, or what do you expect from a customer in order to, I don't know, to give you to have like things done and all that to make both jobs easier?
right. So two things. So there's some designers that just they put together their vision and they complete a project like that. And I usually like to ask the client first, show me things you like, show me things that inspire you, show me things that you love, and I'm going to incorporate them into my design. I'm not going to push you into anything. I want you to love the space, so it has to be from you. So show me other spaces that call to you, that say you, and like from there, and once they send me pictures and I get the vibe that they want to go on, so I just bring the whole project that direction.
And that could be a car, a place, a city, or I don't know, anything that just inspires me.
Well, it could be some colors. You love red. You show me a red car, or an actual office space you want to like recreate into your style. But it calls to you. You like it, something about it. You love that. You love the style it was done in. And then there are other designers. This is where I think, and why I think I am so successful, because I try to save my clients money wherever I can. Now, there are other designers that they charge their clients a fee, and then they make the clients buy all the furniture and all the things through them, and they add on money. And I think that's so unfair. It's enough that you're making money off the client. You gotta pull from all. You gotta make money on the table and the chairs and everywhere. You gotta add on money. It's just not my way. And it ends up like they tack on in all these places, and the project ends up costing them so much more money, because. And as opposed to when I do it, I help them buy things wholesale through my connections. Like, let me connect you to my wallpaper rep. Let's try to get this for you at cost price. And that's what actually gets me the referrals, because they say like, oh, this, use this designer. They'll tell their friend, like, use the designer. She just saved me $30,000 on the project.
Wow.
That's what gets me the referral, when they see that I care about their money and I try to save them money, not that I try to, force them to buy all the items through me and I'm changing the prices on them. I just look at it so unfair. It's not the way I work, but it's the way of most designers, but I just can't morally do that to people. I wouldn't want it to be done to me.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And do you think you get more business and regular business because of doing it that way, whereas the other designers try and get as much as they can from each project they do, but don't necessarily do as much?
Right. I do. I actually do, because they'll be like, oh, this designer, she raped me. She added on here and she added on there, and I didn't expect it to be so much, and then my budget was blown. And just you know, they give out my number, you know, to people that, you know, like she did good by me, you know. She really cared about my project. She really cared about my budget. You know, so many other people, they just keep going and going, and they don't even look at how much that client originally, you know, put away to spend on this project.
Yeah.
So coming in under budget, you know, is like, hooray.
Perfect.
So usually a customer comes with a budget in mind to you, or what do you recommend?
No, it's usually they're coming in, you know, with a budget. They tell me, you know, either tell me they're high end, they want to go all out, or they're saying, you know, they give me a number, and I try to always come in under, you know, that number. And I usually do, because if I'm not paying a middleman, you know, for all these items, I'm getting them, you know, all the tiles from the factory instead of from a tile store. They're like loving it, and then there's room for, you know, to purchase much more than they originally, you know, originally put away for. I have all this space and all this extra money that I could add some more touches that they weren't planning for in the first place.
I think that's a great thing to learn to do business these days. I mean, if you could go out of your way to help your clients in whatever arena you're in, and you help to save them money, or you put a you know, a figure on the table, and you can better that, and you're not overselling all the time, that's the right way to be in the modern world of business as well, isn't it? You know, I think the old way you said about the other designers, that's old hat now. And of course, there's people with plenty of money that are going to go to a designer and don't really care, because just want it taken off their hands, and they don't have the time or the inclination to do it. But they're few and far between, unless you're in Hollywood, maybe. But you know, I would say that the way you do it, that's a far more. That's why you get the repeat business. There's a lot to be learned from that, I think, for people setting up businesses right now, because that's what people want, don't they? They want value for money, but they want integrity. They want honesty. They want somebody they can rely on.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I had for example, I had a guy that I also find that if I let people make money, it's vendors that many times also that send me referrals. Somebody that doesn't even think of hiring a designer, they'll just go straight to the office furniture guy, and they'll be like, "Oh, I need new furniture for my office," and they'll be like, "Well, what color?" "I don't know, just any color." You know,
Yeah.
like they haven't even thought of hiring a designer. So there are many vendors that also, you know, give out my name and number. But the thing is also, I try to let people make money. You know, like some people, like they bargain people down so much that, you know, like the contractors or any vendor, that they squeeze them, that they don't let them make a living. You know, people are struggling, and, you know, it's just being fair. It's just being kind to people. So this furniture manufacturer, this guy that does office furniture, he decided, like, hey, I can sell my furniture, the same furniture the same melamine that I'm doing offices with. I could also do nursing homes and rehab centers. There's no reason why I can't go into that field also. So he called a bunch of designers trying to get his foot into that world, and there were one designer said, okay, she'll give him a chance. She's working on a assisted living center. So she bargained him down so much, okay, and then she drove him crazy, and he was like, you know, patient and everything, and did all the kind of switches and everything she wanted just so he can get it through that door. Later, he found out how much she sold his furniture for to the end user, to the assisted living center. And the guy started crying. He couldn't believe how this designer took such advantage of him. She didn't let him make $1, and then she took his furniture and sold it to the rehab center and made thousands of dollars on his furniture. And she bargained him down to nothing. He was left with, hardly any profit. And he really crying real, actual tears. So it's just being fair to people and letting people make their money.
Yeah. I think,
so how do we, us as consumers, how do we, let's say, hire the right designer, or what are the things that we need to look for when we hire someone and make sure that we're not going to get, not necessarily scammed, but let's say taken advantage of?
Okay. So that is definitely, I think, is a gut feeling. Let's say you have a project, you're interviewing like 2 or 3 designers, you're not sure who to use for the project. It's something inside you will click who you feel comfortable with. I don't know, it's an internal thing, somebody that understands your vision, what you want, is not throwing their ideas at you, wants to hear what you have to say, what you want. I think it's like like when you meet somebody, there's just like like a match. It's like a click happens, like this, I feel like this is the right person to go with.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and I suppose if you're going to speak to a few people, you're going to get to know the ins and outs, and it's easy enough to do a bit of research on people these days as well, isn't it? So, but what do you do when you've got somebody that's is a designer and is new to this, and is thinking about setting something up, and they want to come and watch what you do and take on board what you do and get advice from you? How do you get them to get themselves out there? And particularly in the world that it is now, it's not an easy place to start becoming a designer, is it? You can't get into people's houses as easily. So what would be the tact to use in the modern world of business?
Okay, so first, a lot of young people think that to start in this field, they need to start working for some big design firm and get their start over there at the bottom. Okay. Now, it's not true in this field at all, because and in many fields, if you have the talent, if you have the flair, because I feel like you can go to school for design and it can teach you nothing. It's like, I think style comes from within you. It's inbred. Like some people, like it's just, you look at them, they're sharply dressed, they got everything put together. It's a natural thing, style. You can sit through so many classes and they can't teach it to you. Yeah. So when I see these young designers and they say I'm going to apply to all these huge design firms and start at the very bottom. If you got that talent, there is no reason why you can't go out on your own. There is no reason you have to work for somebody and be stuck from 9 to 5, and have no life and have to, stay after hours. And there's so much more opportunity to go out on your own. People are scared to go out on their own. And in any field, let's say, for example, I have this neighbor who's working, again, 9 to 5 job for his steady paycheck in a glasses store. Now, he'll just look at you and he'll tell you right away, he's like, I have the perfect pair for your face. And he always gets it right. He's got that touch where any shape, size, frame, he'll first pick, he'll be like, this is for you. And he's like, whoa, it does look great. So I was telling him, why don't you go out on your own? Why are you stuck? Why can't you be your own boss? So again, we're talking about fear of the unknown. And if you got that touch, you can do it. You can make it, even though there's another, 5 other eyeglass, optometrists in the actual area. There's, like I said, there's always room for more. Go out there, be brave,
Yeah.
And,
but it's a difficult world to get out there right now for designing, isn't it, though?
So I always recommend everybody, finding, let's say, friends or families that would let them do those few jobs. A lot of people will take anything for free. You want to like that first project I did. Like if I think about it now, the guy that let me design his restaurant, because I did it free of charge. The word free, like he's out of his mind for trusting me to do my first project on his restaurant. Like, but the word free, people like just grab at it. Like, okay.
You said earlier in the show that's how you started off, and of course that's a great way of doing that, isn't it? If you're going to do a room for your parents or your own room, for God's sake, go and do your own room, your parents or family members. Great way to get yourself out there, get it photographed. We've all got mobile phones now, so it's not difficult to do that. So I think you're absolutely right. It's doing that. But how did that restaurant turn out, by the way?
You know what? It's years later. It's like 15 years later, and it still looks great. So that's another thing about designing something, to be timeless and not faddy, where you can tell, what year it was designed in. That's like another thing to try to steer away from what's in style now might not be, in 3 years from now.
That's a skill. That's a skill. We've just got a comment here from Debbie Gankasia. Hopefully, I've said your name right. Businesses need to make a profit, but not at the cost of integrity. There is a lot of integrity missing in the world of business. Very well said, Debbie. We were talking about that a moment ago, of course, and you're absolutely right. I think there's something that's been bred actually in a certain level of the business world through what's happened this year, and I'm not going to talk about the C word because we try and steer away from it a little bit. But I do think that there's a lot of people now that there is a lot of integrity behind what they do. There's a lot more community. There's a lot more about paying forward and things like that. I'm not saying every business does that, but in fact, the larger businesses probably still don't. But there's definitely a lot of smaller businesses that we've definitely seen, and we want to help, and that's what we do this show for. So we can get out and help as many people as we can, and with some integrity, with some honesty, with some real views, and real sort of imparting information to people as well. I think it's something that's been born from this a little bit, and definitely through formats like this, doing podcasts and live shows. There's a lot more of this going on, and you can get information from everywhere. We've talked about this a lot, haven't we, Adrian?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is just because. I think people have seen, there are lots of people that try to take advantage, first of all, right, during this period. And I like it in a way that maybe some of the big companies shut them down. But also now, because people spend more time online and they've managed to see way more things, they've opened their eyes a bit more like before. So that's why you cannot just keep push things and not give anything back. So, and also, I think the businesses that lasted, let's say the small businesses that lasted and they evolved, they are the businesses that have a community feeling. They have a true mission and a true passion for what they do. So yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot to be learned from you, Naomi, from what you've done, what you've been through, where you've come from. Kudos to you, as I said earlier on, from the hardships that you had earlier on. And we've all had hardships, but I think you've definitely fucking had some above and beyond the others, and got to where you've got. And in the years that you've done that, to be recommended by others, to be not revered necessarily, is probably going over the top with the words, but to be looked at and people knowing that and having the reputation that you've got for doing what you do in an arena that is quite different as well. I think there's a lot to be learned from somebody starting out on their business journey right now. Where can people find you, Naomi? Where can people find what you do and get in touch with you? Because I think as a mentor, do you mentor and teach sort of designers? Is this female weighted? Do you have a mixture of male and female sort of clients on that side?
It's definitely more female than male, though I do think there are some guys with great taste that should get into this field. They're they're very creative, but it just doesn't even come to them this, that they could actually, make this into a business. Their flair, their great sense of style, they could actually build something great from it, and it doesn't even like dawn on them. So I definitely see a lot of people out there that are talented, that could go into this field and should go into this field. More males definitely should, look into it. But yeah.
Interesting. So where can people find you?
So I have a website, Naomi Mamiye Design. I actually accomplished another one of my goals. To all those people that I couldn't reach in mentorship, I created now a course, an online course. I just completed it. I have to launch it for all those worldwide people. I can't hands-on, take them through the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that I just finished that. So I'm on Instagram, Naomi Mamiye Design, my website. I'm on LinkedIn. But I like that comment that person wrote in about integrity. On the other side of this, about, let's say you as a consumer hiring a designer or a construction crew. Like, it's my son, one of my married sons, he is a painter now, and he got hired to paint somebody's house. And then when he went to collect payment, they're like, well, I don't have money to pay you. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I cannot believe there are actually people like this. What do you mean? Why do you hire a painter knowing that you don't have money to paint him, to pay him? Sorry. And this, like, and I just started like opening my eyes and some other projects also, how I see people, not being honest and not, paying their workers. I did, for an example, in Somerset, I'm going to call him out. I did in Somerset, New Jersey, an electronics factory. And he wanted to put new flooring, freshen up the place, new flooring, new paint. And he had over there, he hired a crew. It was like a crew of Mexicans painted his whole place. And when it came to paying them, they're day laborers. This is what they live off of. The place is humongous. They gave him a bill, let's say for $6,000. He said, I'm giving you $1,200, take it or leave it.
What?
Now, yes. And then what are these? They're probably mostly not illegal, they're Mexicans. So he knew he could take advantage of them. They're not going to hire a lawyer, but they're this, and the guy drives a McLaren. He's there are these people that are dishonest, and it's just out there. And also, even with, like, let's say you get all these telephone scams. A lot of these young people are at the other end of the line, trying to scam you out of your money, call from your bank where I need your social security number. They don't realize it's going to cut. But just like I said before, the goodness comes back. Those scammers are going to eventually get scammed in their lives too. The electronics guy, he's going to have, one of his vendors aren't going to pay him either. The same thing is going to come back to you. So, he thinks he's saving himself money, but he's not saving himself money by cheating people. The same thing, someone else is going to do that to him. So that's how important honesty is, because that's the way the world works, with honesty.
Definitely. Honesty and paying forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. Well, listen, I think it's been really, really interesting talking to you this evening. Thank you very much for coming on.
Sure. I'm happy to be here. Hello to the UK.
Yeah, and Romania.
And Romania, yes. Hi.
Well, listen, thank you very much. We've Adrian's dropped in the links in the comments as well. So if you guys want to find out more about Naomi and what she does, and if you want to mentor and you think about getting into the designing world, then go and check Naomi out. And of course, if you want her services as well, then you can go, where to find her, because she is a leading US healthcare designer. So that's her field, although she does actually work in other areas as well, as we found out this evening, morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you guys are. If you want to know what else is going on Essex Business Radio, the other guests we've got coming on, then check out our socials, Essex Business Radio, which is pretty well across the board, apart from Twitter, which is Essex Biz Radio. Go on and subscribe to YouTube, of course, and Facebook. Follow us on there and get alerted when we come on. We tend to do a post letting everybody know who's coming on the show. We've got on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. If you do want to be a guest, of course, go over to the Essex Business Radio Facebook page. Click on send message on the send message button and tap on get on a show, and Elliot Bot will take you through a few questions. And if you're a good fit for us and we're a good fit for you, then we'll maybe get you booked in so we can have a chat with you and find out about you. And also everybody can find out different ways that they can pivot. So we can always take something from the show, don't we, Adrian?
Exactly. Yeah, we always just like tonight. It was a very good show. We learned loads of things, and yeah, healthcare designer never really heard about that. So it was very interesting.
Think about it next time you're at the doctor's office.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I will do now. I'm going to be looking around going, yeah, I see what you're saying now. Because you sat there for a while, you need to have a look around. You need things to occupy your mind, don't you? So I get that now, yeah.
Now you know who did it.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Naomi. Really appreciate you coming on, and it's been a great show. Adrian, what have you taken from this evening?
Well, first of all, I've taken the life lessons. All right, I've taken that. Yeah, it's again just like I've done it before. It's very easy to not appreciate what you have. And that the fact that the gratitude should be on number one, all right? And as well, sometimes I think you shouldn't listen to many people, and just follow your gut, your dreams, your passion, whatever you have, and just do it. Just like Nike is saying, just do it, guys. That's all. That's what I've got. And I've also got to learn a bit about how designers work in generally, not necessarily the healthcare designer, but like Naomi is a great designer, and she does loads of things. So I've learned a bit about that. And that's why I was curious, just because I want to ask, how should I behave if I will ever try to hire a designer, and what should I do? So that's what I got.
Mr. Analytical over here would be a difficult client, I reckon, to be fair. Although I'm not saying I'd be easy.
No, I would be those type of clients that would just say, do something nice.
Just do it. And I'd be going, right, this is the code for the orange that we need to use, okay? And
yeah, you would be that one, yeah.
Well, whatever you guys have taken from the show, then drop it in a comment. Drop it in the comments below. Let us know where you've been watching for, if you're watching live, or hashtag on a replay. Naomi, big love to you. Have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to catching up with you very soon.
Thank you. It's great meeting you all.
Well, listen, we're going to go for now. Join us tomorrow evening, 7 p.m, of course, and look out tomorrow for who the guest is going to be. And we're going to catch up with you tomorrow. But otherwise, for now, we're going to say ciao for now.
Brown cow.